Well, what can we say? Welcome along to Final Whistle here, live from St Mary's. My name's Tom Deacon, filling in for Kenzie Benali and Steve Forbes today. And what a result that was. Southampton picking up a point away at Manchester City. Manchester City, of course, scoring 17 goals in their last 4 games, but then up came Southampton and kept that clean sheet. I would like to discuss everything that happened in that match, and to join me, of course, Dean and Adrian earlier on from Saints Live. Welcome back, gentlemen. First of all, what a game. Has your heart rate just got back to normal now?
Yeah, just about, Tom, just about. It was, a brilliant result. Really is. It's a fantastic result from Southampton. And you've got to look at it. I was just thinking then, McCarthy's not had a save to make all game, except for the goal that's disallowed, which obviously is a fantastic save. The discipline from Southampton was brilliant. The bravery from Southampton in terms of the possession of the ball they had, the attempt to try and attack, the positions they got in, the opportunities they created without any really clear-cut chances. I think the only criticism you could say, if you'd wish they had a little bit more belief in those areas when they had the opportunity to shoot, or that extra pass, a little bit of quality. But I thought they were fantastic today. Brilliant. What a performance to go to the Etihad and dominate Man City with and without the ball. The tactical plan, I loved it because I looked at it, I was analysing it, and every time Fernandinho got the ball, a Southampton midfield player was on him, and they dispossessed him so many times and then broke on him to get them opportunities. So they've obviously worked on that in training. And I don't even think they were stretched defensively. We can say, it was a brilliant defensive display. I don't think it was. I think they were reasonably comfortable. There was moments from Grealish, there was moments from De Bruyne, Mahrez when he came on, but nothing outstanding. So fantastic point, and yeah, brilliant. Really, really brilliant performance.
Yeah, I have to say I genuinely loved it here with the team behind the scenes. We were very nervous getting towards the that injury time, but I tell you what, I think the only people that were stretched a few times were the ball boys and girls to go and fetch some of the shots that City had. I tell you what, Adrian, what was your take on that match?
Excellent result and excellent performance as well. Dean touched on some of the things that really stood out for me. I thought that the discipline in the team, sort of defensively and in the midfield areas, was so impressive. It was so mature as well, I thought, in the way they sort of handled the ball, and the way they sort of followed the instructions from Ralph to sort of attack that game. The sort of focus as well that must have gone into sort of parts of that game to stay switched on. City with their runners, and when they're pushing bodies forward and stuff. There were so many times, a Romeo or a Ward-Prowse or one of the other players would just drop in front of the centre backs, and when City had a little period in the first half, maybe the second half of the first half, and the focus and the sort of discipline of Southampton sort of midfielders to come back and support the sort of back four was just really stood out for me. And it says a lot, I guess, that you're disappointed in some ways that Southampton are leaving the Etihad today, and it's not with 3 points. They did have their moments. They had sort of opportunities or half opportunities that, with the right decision, with a different decision, could have ended in a goal, and that's before we sort of get to the penalty and things like that. But what a performance. And for me, in a lot of aspects, there's almost like a benchmark there in that performance. Certainly, as I said, in terms of how they defended and how they sort of operated in midfield. Another thing that really stood out for me was how they used the ball. You don't want to invite a team like City onto you by taking too many touches in the wrong area, taking too many risks. And I thought Romeo, I mentioned him again, Ward-Prowse in that midfield area, they really used the ball well. It was 1 and 2 touches. It was safe passes. They weren't sort of taking any unnecessary risks. I think that all contributed to the way the game went today.
Yeah, such a brilliant, disciplined performance from Saints. And as you say, it was definitely a team performance from everyone. I'm going to get straight to it because I'm receiving a lot of messages at the moment. Thank you very much for getting involved with Final Whistle today. Keep them coming in. Hashtag Saints FC. Also, you can tweet Southampton FC. And of course, you can leave your comments on YouTube or Facebook Live if you're watching there. But the difficult question that I want to get straight to, Dean and Adrian, but I'll ask you first, Dean. Was it a penalty? What was your take on it?
I think I need to choose my words wisely as we're live. But yeah, look, in my opinion, I think it's a penalty. It's a stonewall penalty. I don't even think there's a decision to be made. If I'm honest, Kyle Walker doesn't touch the ball. I think that's the obvious thing. Yes, Adam Armstrong is slightly off balance. Is he going to get a clear shot at goal? Potentially not. But Kyle Walker doesn't touch the ball and uses his body to push Armstrong off balance, so he's not able to get that shot. So in my opinion, it's a clear penalty. And the one thing that confuses me, yes, I don't know the rules in and out, but I didn't think the referee could change his decision, or VAR would ask him to look at his decision if it wasn't a clear and obvious mistake. Now, in my opinion, even if the referee or VAR think that's not a penalty, I don't think it's clear and obvious. So yeah, it's a strange decision for me, and I feel for the players because, again, as we've touched on, the performance was outstanding. It really, really was, and I think they deserve that. And James Ward-Prowse taking it from the penalty spot, you would back him to score, and you're looking at Southampton coming with a 1-0 away win at Man City and a comfortable 1-0 away win. So yeah, I'm disappointed with the decision of the referee.
Yeah, and imagine what JWP was going through, holding that ball for that whole time, the VAR decisions coming along and being taken. Adrian, what about you then? Did you think it was a definite penalty, a bit of confusion? How did you see it?
I think, just to follow on from what Dean was saying now, I think one of the problems in some situations when referees get the chance to review a decision on VAR is they basically just re-referee the decision. They've already got the seed of doubt put in their mind by the guys at Stockley Park saying you might want to have a look at that. So that's what happens. He's effectively just reviewing the decision again, rather than maybe what he should have been looking at, which is whether that was a red card or not. For me, when I looked at it first of all, and even the first 2 or 3 replays I saw, I thought penalty. Adam Armstrong for me is enough. He's ahead of Kyle Walker enough to be in a position where he's shooting and he's got his body round enough. And Kyle Walker, it felt to me, was coming in behind him. I think as well, another thing, Kyle Walker was the one who was dispossessed by Nathan Redmond in the build-up to that incident. So what you've got a player in Kyle Walker who's frantically rushing to make up for his earlier mistake. So, when they talk about things like, are you in control, etc., you see sometimes when a player takes a heavy touch and they're trying to rescue it. That's the situation that Kyle Walker was trying to rescue. He's not going to be in sort of full control. And for me, I felt like he came through the back of Adam Armstrong there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we'll probably be debating for a long time. It would be great to have Jonathan Moss, the referee's viewpoint on why it was overturned. But in the end, it didn't mean that Southampton came away with nothing, managed to get that point. Talk to me, Adrian, while I have you now, about Tino Livramento. What a fantastic performance from him. What did you like about his game today?
Yeah, it was both of the fullbacks, actually, and it was quite noticeable early on how sort of high up they were pushing, and that helped keep Southampton up the pitch as well. Sort of back four, they did such a great job to be as high up as they were, because it just meant that City had to start further back, and you're not inviting that pressure onto yourself, which we spoke about before. No surprise, Tino Livramento had a little bit of cramp towards the end because the shift that as I said, both fullbacks put in down the side, and again, as we mentioned before, he's so good at sort of helping the team get out the pitch. He sort of created a great chance for Adam Armstrong at one point in the first half, which if Adam Armstrong takes a different touch, maybe one that takes him towards goal rather than away, who knows what could happen. But honestly, every game you watch Tino Livramento, you're just thinking, what a great find, what a great signing, and you just sort of wonder how far he can go.
Talking about that press and the shift he was putting in, Dean, the press actually led to that opportunity where we had the potential penalty. City really struggled with the press that Ralph and the players put on today.
I think that's what they would have worked on in training. The press was really, really impressive because I think it was a controlled press. There was a structure to the press. It wasn't individuals going off on their own, and they were patient as well. They would get to a certain moment. If you talk about the penalty, Redmond's kind of static, and then he allows Kyle Walker to become static, which makes the pass harder, and then he attacks him and presses and wins the ball. And that happened all over the pitch today. The back four played a really high line, were very, very brave to condense the pitch to make it smaller, so not allowing Man City to have space and time on the ball. And like I mentioned before, I think Romeo was brilliant today. I think that's one of his best performances with and without the ball. The amount of interceptions he had, he was very, very composed on the ball. And that came from the press, winning possession and then counter-attacking. And his quality of pass and distribution of pass was allowing those opportunities. But the press was very, very good as a team. It moved as a team. And I think, Man City is a very, very talented team, and they play through a lot of teams with ease, and they just couldn't do that today. So yeah, very, very impressive.
Saints fans getting in touch. Thank you very much. I'll read a couple of them now. David Knoll says, good, solid point from Saints FC. Jason says, great point as well. So we're loving this point. Not so much thinking, hey, we lose 2 points there, but, that we're taking the positives. Chevette says, wow, what a point and a clean sheet against Manchester City. Well done, Saints. And then Johnny Hayter puts it perfectly. Not one player let us down today. What a different player Moy looks. Big thumbs up. Worked so hard for the team. Redmond too. But it was the whole team. And I'm sure you'll agree, Dean and Adrian. Ryan says, this club, 3 massive hearts. So a lot of happy people out there. And also with that formation change, Reese picks up on it. He says the formation change has completely turned us around, playing really, really well, and that's all down to Hasenhüttl and clapping emoji. Adrian, that change that's happened, that 4-4-2 that we talked about during Saints Live, it seemed to come together and work really well. It may have even shocked Man City. Yeah,
because we spoke before the game about is it the sort of game where you drop back and you play a back five But Ralph kind of went with it. He got runners in there. He got players who could help Saints get up the pitch and turn City if they needed to. In sort of Redmond, Shea Adams, Armstrong. El-Younisi was brilliant, sort of coming in off these sort of wide position. I thought he was, particularly in the first half and occasions in the second, he sort of made himself available. So when you're trying to get out from defence, he was a sort of passing option, which I think was valuable again to help Southampton get up the pitch. It just worked really well today. Massive credit to Ralph and the players for everything they sort of worked on and seeing it come to fruition today.
The first substitution that had to be made for Southampton, Dean, was Jack Stevens' injury. How big of a blow is that going to be for Saints? And how well did Salisu do when he had to come on right in the middle of a match?
Yeah, it's unfortunate for Jack. I think it's a big blow. It looks like it's his knee, so hopefully it's not a serious injury, but potentially it could be. Hopefully he's just used his experience and thought, I need to protect myself here and not make it any worse. And it's unfortunate for Jack because he started the season very, very well. He's been leading that back line very, very well. I think he's found some really good form that potentially didn't find last season. He's been consistent in the opening 4 or 5 games of the season. So it's a disappointment for him. But, when Salisu came on, he just really continued with that performance he put in against West Ham. He looked very, very solid. He looked composed. He was nice and aggressive. He was trying to get in front of his striker and not dropping off. And again, that was part of the press. So he came on and gave that balance. And I must admit, I must touch on Bednarak. I thought he was very, very good today. A player coming in from the cold, not really played this season, not been in favour, and coming to put a performance like that, I thought again was another positive because the blocks he made, the interceptions again, and led the line and looked like he wanted to play for the club. So, yeah, brilliant. I think that Salisu, Bednarak and Jack, when he played, were excellent today. Just unfortunate with the injury.
Tom Mavin has messaged in, just open the scores, expecting the worst. Does that read 0-0 with City? Give Ralph a knighthood. Adrian, a bit too soon to be calling for a knighthood for Ralph?
I won't let people get carried away. It's a very unexpected result. So who am I to tell people that they can't say Ralph should get X, Y, and Z?
And also, Adrian, because you spoke about Livramento earlier on, James White says Tino is absolutely sensational for 18 years old, had Grealish in the back of his pocket and still got forward. He got taken off a little bit earlier on than we would have liked to see him to complete the game, but he really is a talent there, isn't he?
He really is. And actually, I think Grealish would have been a great test for him today because there was a period, I mentioned sort of the second half of the first half, when City started to come into the game for sort of the first time, and Grealish seemed to be posing him a few problems, different challenges, and it would have been good for him to kind of experience that. Obviously, everyone knows how talented Jack Grealish is. So a great test for Livramento to come through and sort of face up, really. And in terms of him coming off, I mean, I think he just got booked as well, hadn't he? And I don't know, maybe if that decision had been looked at again by John Moss, he might have been thinking, he might have been changing his mind about a yellow card. So good management there from Ralph to maybe get him off. Just because, in that last sort of 5 minutes injury time, City are going to have a lot of the ball. So very good decision by Ralph. Very sort of very clever to just get him off when he's on a yellow card.
Yeah, Phil Foden was not happy about that tackle. Dean, I want to take your opinion now, because there is one moment we do have to talk about: the goal that Man City thought they'd scored, but VAR overturned it. It was a proper heart in the mouth moment after all the work that the Saints team had done, and then possibly at one moment leaving away with nothing.
Yeah, it would have been so unfortunate, Tom. It really would have done, and gutting for the players. And it was tight, I must admit. It was offside. It's a great save by McCarthy. And probably, if you look at the game, one of the only times where Man City got in behind Southampton. Most of the play was in front of them or pullbacks, and it was the first time I'm behind. It's a good header by Phil Foden, I believe. And I think if you look at it on the replay, Sterling's offside in the first phase, and then he's just offside in the second phase as well. So a good decision by VAR, but again, they took their time over it, I must admit. So they were teasing us. I must admit, I was worried, thinking, oh, here we go. Man City scoring late on, Southampton not getting anything out of the game when they deserve it. But a good decision, and one that the referee got right and probably deserved to give us as well, because Southampton 100% deserved a point today. Whether they deserve 3, I don't know, because there was no clear-cut chances, but they were brilliant. So, yeah, good decision.
Darren Hill says, deserve to win, full stop. Splendiferous performance. That is not a word you hear every day, splendiferous. To follow on from what Dean said, how impressive is this point overall?
Well, I mean, I think when you think of what's happened at the Etihad with the last 3 games they've had, and I think I heard that they won the last 3 league games at home 5-0, scored 6 in the Champions League in midweek. So that tells you what a lot of teams are facing when you're going to the Etihad. And I think that one of the great things about today was it wasn't a 0-0, backs to the wall 0-0. It was a 0-0 where Southampton are given as good as they've got. They've really gone there and given City a good game. They've made it hard for City to create chances as well, and they've really sort of acquitted themselves very well today. So it's a great point. And as I said earlier on, there will be so many things in that performance today that Ralph will be saying, "You've done that today. I want that every week," as hard as that is to reproduce.
And not much of a turnaround now between the next game. So hopefully they'll keep up that energy level. So many messages coming in. They just keep popping up here on the iPad. It's not easy. When I watch Kenzie and Steve look after this, it's not easy. So they put in an absolute shift as well. Gary Dabbs says those words, brilliant shift that. Not many sides will come away from the Etihad with anything to show for it. Well in, lads. Thank you for that message. Louis Philip Dos Santos, a brilliant performance by our lads. Deserved all 3 points. Well done, guys. Proud to be a Saint. So lots of people today will be wearing their colours, and especially travelling down from Manchester. If you're watching right now as you're travelling down, hope you travel back safely to the South Coast. But wear that shirt with pride tonight. We totally frustrated City and could easily have got a last-minute winner too. Saints were amazing. Thank you very much, Tim Greenman. And Andy Rigler says, City, 16 goals in previous 3 home games. 1 shot on target today. Well played. Dean, there's so many more superlatives and sort of compliments to the Saints team today. We could carry on chatting about the City performance, but I just want to look ahead to the game I mentioned, a cup match on Tuesday night against Sheffield United. What are your thoughts on that one, even if you can possibly think that far ahead?
Well, I'm still enjoying this result, I must admit, but an important game for Southampton. Cup runs for Southampton, I think, was evidenced last year. It built that momentum getting to the FA Cup semi-final. I know this is a different competition, but it's an opportunity against a lower league opposition. Sheffield United have picked up lately, and their form has improved. So it will be a test. But if Southampton play like they did today, you've got to look at that. That's 2 clean sheets in a row, and that's not happened for a long time for Southampton as well. So continue on that foundation, that strength, and then just that final quality pass in those decisive moments in the attacking areas. And I think there'll be too much for Sheffield United. And also, it's an opportunity for players that have not played today, that have not had minutes, that want to push for a start in the Premier League. So Ralph has touched on it. The depth in the squad is better now. He's pleased with that, and I think he'll utilise that on Tuesday. With a couple of changes, but I think he'd like to go a little bit further this year in this competition, and this is an opportunity to do that on Tuesday night.
Yeah, it was interesting watching the game. What sub is he going to bring on? I'm referring to Ralph, of course. Who could he put on to make an effect? There was Teller there that didn't get any game time. Gineppo, Diallo, Valerie, and of course Fraser Forster. So maybe there's going to be some changes coming for that cup game. James Azar says Saints were awesome, simply awesome. I want to get through as many of these because you've taken the time to send them in. Peter Simmons says, so proud, we march on. Hashtag Saints, love it. And Mick Bett says, what a performance, boys. You were brilliant today. Not many teams are going to come away from the Etihad with anything. And finally, Sharon Moore says, fantastic performance today. Come on, you Reds. Adrian. Okay, so we've got the cup game on Tuesday. I don't know if you wanted to add anything for that. But then back here where I am right now at St Mary's against Wolves, a lot of positives to take. Still no win in the Premier League. Do you reckon Ralph will be looking towards Wolves and after their result today against Brentford thinking, yeah, we want to get those 3 points in that match?
Definitely, and I think maybe something that gets overlooked because of the way the fixtures are spread out, and maybe Everton being a bit of a surprise actually, the way how well they started the season. But Saints have had a very tough start to this season, having that sort of Everton game and Manchester United in there and now Man City away. This is a real bonus point, I feel. And looking at their fixtures now, they've got Wolves, Leeds and Burnley at home, 3 of the next 4 in the league. And you're thinking almost like, in some ways, the season can start. You know, there's a little run of games now where they'll be looking at and thinking, yeah, okay, we'll be looking at that game. There's potential 3 points there. Same with Leeds, same with Burnley. There's Chelsea away in the middle of that run. And obviously everyone knows how sort of powerful the Chelsea side is at the moment. But as I said, that's a real bonus point today and really something for them to build on heading into a run of maybe some slightly more favourable fixtures given the difficult start they've had.
Yeah, 4 points now on the board for the Premier League. In the Premier League now for Saints. Jeff Bennett says, good away point. Ralph Hasenhüttl obviously had a game plan and the team played it out because there were a few people that were surprised at the 4-4-2 and the changes he's made, but always believe in the process. Gail Sampson says, brilliant result. Excellent save, Alex. There weren't many saves to make, but the one he had to make, he did. Margaret McLaughlin says, well done, Saints. And Chris Scantlebury says, well done, Saints. Also, there's also one that's just popped in. Jazz Batty says, outstanding team performance. Every man played their part and a huge credit to Ralph. Lots of hearts being used for that. Adrian, I just wanted to remind you of your prediction earlier on, Saints Live. You said, I don't know if now is the time. I've spoken to the team that they think you've been fantastic today, so there is a chance you'll come back because it was your debut in the Premier League. Will you be making a more favourable prediction in Saints' favour in the future?
Definitely, and I did say I hope I'm wrong, and I never hope I'm wrong. As a journalist, you never want to be wrong, but that's how I covered myself, and I'm pleased I was wrong. Delighted I was wrong today.
Adrian Kabunja, so great to have you on the show. Of course, Adrian, a football reporter for the Daily Mail. Have you enjoyed being on the Final Whistle and Saints Live today?
Yeah, I loved it. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. And Dean, I assume you'll be back for the Wolves game. Did you enjoy the result and being part of it today?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Like you say, it's a great result, and I can't take any pride in my prediction either. I went for 2-2 and lots of goals, and we got a 0-0 draw. So, yeah, no disgrace there, Adrian. Don't worry about that. I think I've done probably 50, 60 shows now and probably got one result right. So, we're all learning.
Well, listen, gentlemen, an absolute pleasure to be hosting with you guys today. All the best until we see each other again. And thank you very much to everybody who has been watching today. Thank you very much for all of your comments. If I didn't read it out, I do apologise. Trying to get through as many as I possibly could. Of course, Kenzie and Steve will be back looking after you. But it's been an absolute pleasure. Myself, Tom Deegan, looking after you today. Hopefully, those 3 points will be coming in the Premier League. But what a performance today. Until then, we'll see you next Sunday for Wolves. Take care.